right, so today we are going to do a review over adding and subtracting fractions that we did earlier this week. You'll notice off to the left that I have all of the steps that we need. Okay, you should have those written down. If you don't, you need to write them down right now. Okay, the only thing that's different is that today we are adding or subtracting. So on Tuesday, we were just adding. On Wednesday, we were just subtracting. So today, we are going to do both. And apparently I can't type. That B shouldn't be there. All right, so we're going to start off with 1/15 plus 1/6. Okay, so my first step is to estimate. I know that 1/15 is very close to 0. 1/6 is also very close to 0. And I know that seems really weird. Like, Miss Higby, really? 0 plus 0 is 0? That's our estimate? Yeah, it is. Okay, that means that our real answer has to be close to 0. Okay? Next step is to find my LCD. So I need my multiples of 15 and 6. Now, do you have your multiples of 15 on a multiplication chart? No, you don't. So, what I would suggest you do, some of you can do some of these mentally, but if you have to write off to the side your multiples so you can find them, that's okay. So my first multiple is 15, but my second multiple would be 30. Now, you probably are saying to yourself, ooh, 6 has a 30. Well, let's double check. So 6, 12, 18, 24, and 30. There you go. So my LCD is 30. I don't have to continue on with this big long list of 30s or 15s, okay? Once you have a guess of, oh, I think it's that, just double check, make sure you're correct. Okay, because remember, if you do not find the LCD, you will absolutely have to simplify later. Okay, which is fine, I can do that, but it's more work than what I want to do if I can help it. All right, so I know my LCD is 30. So now I change to equivalent fractions. So 1/15 needs to be into 30ths, and 1/6 needs to be into 30ths. So 15 times what is 30? 1, 2. Okay, what I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So 1 times 2 is 2. 6 times what is 30? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So 1 times 5 is 5. So now I'm going to do 2/30 plus 5/30. Okay, always double check your symbol today, okay, because we're adding and subtracting. So I don't want you to do all this work and then in the end you get your answer wrong because you did the wrong operation. Okay, so always double check. So I know for sure up here I'm adding. Okay, so I'm gonna cross that off. Now I add. So 2/30 plus 5/30 is 7/30. Okay, and now I simplify if needed. Well, so 7 is prime and 30 is composite. So remember, the question is, can you fit one into the other? Well, can I fit 7 into 30 evenly? Nope, then I am done. Okay, so the answer here is 7/30. Now, let's evaluate that with our estimate. Is 7/30 close to 0? If I do out a number line, 0/30 is here, 30/30 is here, half of 30 is 15/30. Okay, and I have 7. 7 would go about right here. So 7/30 is close to a 0. Okay, so that is a reasonable answer. All right, I hope you have these things written down because I'm about to clear this. All right, and now I'm going to do 7/16 minus 1/4. So let's first do our estimate. Well, I know that half of 16 is 8, and 7 is pretty close to that. So I'm going to round 7/16 to a half. And I know that 1/4 is one piece away from a 0. So I'm going to round that to 0. So I'm saying that my estimate, 1/2 minus 0, is 1/2. So my estimate is a half. The next thing I want to do is I want to find my LCD. Whoops. Okay, now, can 4 go into 16? Absolutely. So I'm saying that my LCD is 16. Okay, if I don't know that, or I want to prove it to myself, I can write out my list of multiples. Okay, so it would be 4, 8, 12, 16. The first multiple of 16 would be 16. Okay, so we were correct. So you always want to be looking to see, can one of those go into the other? Because it actually creates less work for you if you look for that. So now that I know my LCD, I'm going to change to equivalent fractions. So I want to change both of these into 16ths. Well, this is already 16, so this is 7/16. I like when that happens. It's less work. So 4 times what is 16? That would be 4. What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So 1 times 4 is 4. Okay, I'm going to go back and double check. This time I'm subtracting. Okay, so I'm doing 7/16 minus 4/16. Okay, so 7 minus 4 is 3/16. Okay, so then I ask myself, is 3 prime or composite? That would be prime. Is 16 prime or composite? That would be composite. So then the question is, can 3 go into 16 evenly? That's no. So my answer has to be 3/16. Is 3/16 close to a half? I'd say if I put it on a number line, it would actually be closer to a 0/16. But again, especially when we're talking about fractions that are lower than 1, sometimes it's a little bit tricky when we get there. Okay, so I know my estimate was, hey, we need to be close to here, but really we're closer to here. Okay, but as long as we're still somewhat close, I mean, we're still within a half, right? Okay, if I had it closer over here to 1, then I don't know. But, this is okay with me. Okay? All right, last one together on this video. Now we're going to do 7/8 minus 3/6. So if I am rounding 7/8, I'm going to say that's close to 1 because it's only one piece away from a whole. I'm going to say that 3/6 is exactly half because 3/6 is exactly half. Okay? Remember, 3/6 and 1/2 are equal, right? Because if I multiply them both, the numerator and the denominator, I get 3/6. Okay, so these are actually equivalent fractions. So 1 minus a half is a half. So my estimate is a half. Now I need to find my common denominator. Okay, so I have 8 and 6. 8, 16, 24, 32, 40. 6, 12, 18, 24. I'm going to stop right there because that's my LCD. Now, for those of you that like to multiply and say 8 times 6 is 48, that's going to be my lowest common denominator, it's not going to be the lowest. Okay, it is a common denominator, and I can change these to 48, but it means that I absolutely will have to simplify later. Okay, so after we use our LCD, I'm going to come back and show you what that looks like. All right, so if my LCD is 24, I want to change 7/8 and 3/6 into 24ths. So 8 times what is 24? What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So 7 times 3 is 21. 6 times what is 24? What I do to the bottom, I do to the top. 3 times 4 is 12. So I want to do 21 24ths. My operation is subtracting, minus 12 24ths. Okay. What is 21 minus 12? That would be 9. So this is 9 24ths. Okay. Now, is 9 prime or composite? Oh, it's composite. Is 24 prime or composite? Composite. So remember, I need to double check and I need to see, can I divide these by anything else? Okay, so here's where I have to start thinking about factors. I know that 9 is 1 times 9, and 24 can't be divided by 9, so that doesn't work. But the other factor pair for 9 is 3 times 3. Can 24 be divided by 3? It can. So that means that 9 24ths can be divided by 3/3. Okay, so 9 divided by 3 is 3, and 24 divided by 3 is 8. 3 is prime, 8 is composite. Can 3 go into 8 evenly? No, it can't. So this is my answer. Okay, so 3/8, is that close to 1/2? It is, because isn't half of 8 4? Absolutely. Okay, so now I want to go back to this idea. I'm going to do a different color. I'm going to go back to this idea because I know some of you are still doing this. You're just taking the two numbers that you're adding or subtracting and you're multiplying your denominator to get your common denominator. It is absolutely a common denominator, but it is not always the lowest common denominator. Okay, we saw that over here, the lowest common denominator is 24. Okay, but I want to show you what this looks like if I use 48. So again, I need common, well, equivalent fractions using our 48. Okay, 8 times 6 is 48. 7 times 6 is 42. 6 times 8 is 48. 3 times 8 is 24. Okay, so then I have 42 48ths minus 24 48ths. Okay, 42 minus 24. Well, I have to do some regrouping. That would be 8. Oh, that gives me 18 48ths. Well, I know that both 18 and 48 are definitely divisible by 2. Oh, and look at that. If I divide by 2, it gets me back to this. Okay, so then I have to divide it again like this with this step that we used. Okay, so this, by using the, I'm going to multiply across the denominators and use 48, you actually have another step that you have to do. Okay, so you either find the lowest common denominator or you end up with another step in your simplifying. It really is the same amount of work. It just depends on which one you're more comfortable with.